I believe this is our 7th. I should really figure that out before I actually start streaming. I just kind of guess every time we do this. Yeah, I think this is number 7. But welcome everybody. Hope you had a good couple weeks. It's been 2 weeks since we had our last one. And yeah, this week we're going to be talking about whatever we want because I have been super slammed trying to get kind of the production stuff figured out for more M8 units. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I didn't really have anything prepared either for this week. Uh, uh, but I figured one thing that people kept talking about, maybe wanting to discuss, was just general production related talk involving the M8, like whether it's like mixing or sound design, just like in a more broad sense. I'd like to hear what people have been, I mean, yeah, what people have been doing with the M8, either the device or headless, and not necessarily just the music itself, but I'd love to see or hear about how people are applying the use of it.
I've
That'd be
been
really cool.
I've been breaking my M8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you been breaking it?
Uh, just trying to get code working, new
Ah,
stuff.
yes.
I could show off some of the new stuff that I've been working on. It's nothing exciting, really. It's just more usability changes
I'd like.
and production changes, changes for the production unit.
I would be interested in seeing that. I'm sure everybody else would be too.
Yeah, yeah, it's super basic stuff, but yeah, I could show that in a minute. Um, but otherwise, I give a little update to the pre-order stuff. It's happening soonish. Again, I think it's the same thing I said last couple weeks ago. But I got a new board made that took me a million hours to actually figure out and get working properly. Uh, it like so I ordered the board like 2 weeks ago. I got the board a week later, but I also needed to order some parts, some like chips and stuff for this new board. And I got the chips and stuff like a couple days after I got the board. And I'm guessing because of the chip shortage stuff, like a lot of people are buying stuff on the electronic supplier websites. So things are kind of backlogged, I think. It took them a week just to ship the order, which is crazy. And that's a US company. But I got the parts like at 2 p.m. and I left my shop at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I was working through the night trying to get everything working properly because I just couldn't let it go without figuring out what the problems were. So I got that all working, which is sweet. The production units will have uh, MIDI type A and B switching. If you don't know what that is, the MIDI ports on the M8 use 3.5 millimeter like headphone jacks, also known as eighth inch, yeah, jacks. And there's two quote unquote standards for the MIDI spec that have different. Basically, the wires are different between the two different standards. Originally on the M8, I chose the type A, because I thought that was going to be like the major moving forward. That was going to be the major standard. But on this production unit now, there's a chip that basically allows me to control. It allows me to flip the wires. So the production unit will have both A and both MIDI type A and type B. It's one or the other on both ports. It's not, you can't have input B type A and output B type B. So there's that. And then there's the new charger chip for the battery. It's fancy. It's digital communication, so I could like talk to it and configure it, and it gives me better status on the battery and all that kind of fun stuff. Those were the two major changes with this one. It's using the new screen, so the jacks are flipped from the beta M8s that people have, which is a little bit um, interesting when I flip between the two different units that I have here. But it's a problem for
Does it
only a few of us.
does it still feel weird seeing that the screen the fat side is flipped?
Yeah, that's and I don't know why, because it's flipped on. So there's a border around the screen, and there's a bigger border on the beta units. There's a bigger border on the left side, and the reason why there's that border is because that's where the backlights are for the display. So they add a bit of extra plastic there, so the lights kind of blend together before they shoot through the display. Um, and on the production unit, I had to flip the screen 180. I had to flip it around because there's basically ribbon cables that are different on these newer displays. Um, and in doing so, the black border that's offset on one side is now on the right side instead of the left. Um, I don't know. I don't know why that looks awkward to me, one versus the other, but it does. I don't know if that's just because I'm used to it. Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure over time I'll hopefully get used to it.
you'll hopefully. It's all one
I'll
can
I'll
hope
get
for.
over it. I'll get over it. How about that? I'll get over it.
I mean, could just like change the resolution of the display and like paint in some black onto the other side so it's an even
You know
border.
what? Not a bad idea.
um,
Can we customize that color then?
yeah, I know. Oh, that opens up a bag of worms, doesn't it? Yeah. So I don't. Maybe it's because there's like a Game Boy or something that has like a bigger border on one side or something. I don't know.
I think it might be reading direction that you're used to,
Hmm.
because that plays a lot into where stuff, feels natural to left or right side. If
So
you're coming
bigger
from,
border on the left. Maybe you're just more used to there being a bigger margin on the left side when you
yeah,
read something.
something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, think of like notebook paper.
I've been trying to think about a design solution to that problem just to make it all even. And the only design solution I know of off the bat is to not have the screen be on the outside. Drop the screen so that way it's surrounded by a case. And then that way I could shift the screen over and you wouldn't see a black border on either side. Um,
I don't know if it's just me, but your audio completely dropped too.
Mine?
Yeah, it dropped for me too.
Oh, strange.
He was about to reveal a design secret and he got cut off by.
Oh shit.
Uh,
They got him. They
am I
got
still
him.
here or
Well,
no?
while he resolves that,
Hold on.
uh, yeah, I imagine those of you who have been waiting for a unit are very excited to hear about the update on Patreon the other day. I mean, I'm very excited about it myself.
I'm
Can you guys
extremely
hear me or
excited.
no?
Yep.
I can't
How
wait.
long have you been using the headless for now?
I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Cool. And how do you like it?
Mm. I mean, I started making music on LSDJ
Oh,
and
For those
then got
watching the stream,
into
I'm
like
gonna
synths and
restart
specifically
Discord.
FM. So for me, it's like heaven.
yeah. It,
um,
it had it been a while since you touched LSDJ again and you picked it up and
yeah.
you're like, oh, yeah, this feels very familiar.
No, it's like muscle memory,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
cool. But I found it quite hard to make music in it again. It's kind of like you learn because like then I moved on to DAWs and stuff and been
Yep.
making music on yeah, piano rolls and various hardware stuff. So I think getting into the tracker mindset again.
Yeah, for those watching the stream, bear with me a second. I'm just
I
trying
think
I
to
can
do.
it's
absolutely see that.
Hello, hello.
yeah. Hello.
Hey, you guys can hear me? Okay, great. Hold on a second. I have to set things up again. I don't know
But
why.
yeah, I think it's
I
sorry.
don't know why it dropped out. So sorry about that.
It's all good.
But yeah, I was saying that the mindset is the tracker way of uh, like stretching up songs and thinking about stuff. It's really cool. And like working with tables, I think is something I missed a lot on
Yeah.
various hardware and software. So
I think about that every time I open a DAW and I want to automate something, and I just wish there were tables where I could just write a little modulation script that'll do exactly what I want. Instead, I find myself getting a MIDI controller and recording in automation and then fine tuning it with a mouse, and it doesn't feel very precise, and
Yeah.
yada yada. Yeah, it goes on and on and on.
It also
Um,
takes so much longer to do
yes,
in like that type
yes,
of software.
it's painful. It's
Yeah.
genuinely painful for me.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
It it's cool though because since if you have that background of LSDJ, one of the things that was so appealing where it was working within the limitations of the sound, and now it seems like that's not really the limitation. It's uh uh there's a different kind of limitation of like how to make your stuff sound bigger, I guess, like how to make it sound like it's you're using a DAW, since you can
Just
essentially
drop an
make
OTT.
DAW music. Yeah, just drop in some OTT and you're set.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that's another thing, like approaching writing music on this thing as versus some modern hardware or software. You don't have those like I don't want to say crutches, but like things to lean on.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a huge reverb or whatever. Well, the M8 does have that, but like first I tried to like do stuff without any of the effects and just use the synths and like kind of tracker style. But it's really hard once you've learned or like gotten used to relying on those like kind of um
I love
what just
effects.
helps. Yeah, this is kind of just
I need my reverb. That's how it goes.
yeah, no, for sure. That's what I came to as well. Good try. I actually I tried making like a fake reverb thing with the FM synth, but it didn't really work out. But I've been doing it on the Digitone, but I think the LFOs, or like I couldn't get fast enough modulation in M8. But maybe I just need to try it more.
M8's just limited like that.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, I tried a. Yeah, I don't know. That's a conversation for a little later.
So you were gonna tell us some
I don't know
secrets,
why
and then
Discord dropped out because everything was still working here. All I had to do was like disconnect from the chat and reconnect. That was super weird. Yeah, I just meant to say that I've been trying to think of ways to design around the border, and so far I've come up kind of empty. To fix that. Did I drop out again?
you did not drop out.
No.
Okay.
Everyone is just
That's
we're
all
all
I was saying. I could drop the screen to the other side of the PCB and do a cutout kind of thing, but then that would double the thickness of the M8, which I think is too clunky. I don't have much height internally to really work with.
Yeah, that
So,
makes
you could
sense.
you could make the top PCB just really thick.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's not a right way to do it. Or I could shift the screen over a little bit so that way the screen the the actual pixels of the screen are aligned, horizontally center, but then this
Pers
display itself is offset. So,
Yeah, I like I like it being physically centered as opposed to the offset. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
think that
just
would look
looks
a little.
I don't know. I could maybe I'll try experimenting a little bit more before I hit the go button on production, but things are getting close. I have a meeting next week with a local assembly house to see what services they could provide besides the obvious. Because there's a bunch of surface mount parts that are painstakingly ridiculous to do by hand. And that's obviously what a machine is for. So they'll obviously do all those parts. But then there are things like the keys and the speakers that are hand soldered. Um, I could have them do it. I worry about their registration, their alignment of the speaker to the quote unquote grill. You know, um,
Hmm.
like how I'm going to do it. If I'm going to be the one doing it, is I'm going to set up a jig that basically you could perfectly align the speaker that way, because these new speakers have a glue adhesive front, so you kind of have to align them right when you drop it on, you know. Um, so there's that. hopefully they're not too expensive because that kind of factors into the cost of everything.
Would they be able to solder on the teensies as well, or is that
That's kind
something
of
that
the major question that I have for them, if they could do that or not. If they could do that, that's going to save me an enormous amount of time and pain. If I have to do that, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna design around it. I'm gonna make a jig or a robot or something that'll help me perfectly do that stuff very quickly. Because that's the
cool?
only option I have now is either an assembly house can do it, and if they can't, I'm gonna have to design something where I can do it. Just because of the chip shortage and everything else, like this is the only way forward currently. Um, and I kind of feel like I don't know if the Patreon stuff was a good idea or not, looking back on it, because I feel like obligation and pressure to like, these people are paying me monthly for updates and access to like the pre-order early on, um, and that
I
that
I,
puts a lot of
I
pressure on me to like deliver something as quickly as possible. Whether or not it's their intention or not to do that,
yeah.
that's just the result of money exchanging hands, I think. And in general, as an artist, like I have a horrible time. Uh, I have a bad time both taking compliments and receiving money because those are things that as musicians we're not necessarily used to.
The painful truth.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's all the updates for as far as Emmett goes. I ordered another board yesterday, or I got that out, so that way I get all of the thing that took me like hours and hours to figure out. I fixed all those problems and then sent off another board. The whole process with this gets kind of expensive because any change I make, I have to I have to assemble and test before doing a production run, right? Because you don't want to make 100 or 500 or 1,000 of a thing without verifying that those files and all the stuff works as expected. So I have to do another aluminum enclosure as well because things changed there because of the teensy issue I talked about before. Um, so I have to get more. I have to, I finished the design files for that and getting those made, and then getting new PCBs made for the next set of changes. And I'll probably have one more board after this next one that will have all the silk screen, like the icons and the logo and stuff like that. I still haven't done that part yet. So I've been kind of waiting for. I want a new Dirty Wave logo. Like it's a weird little D right now, and that was always supposed to be temporary. Um, so I've been struggling with trying to get a designer to design something for me. So we'll see how that goes. I think that's all the updates. I think. Code wise, though, I've been working on a couple things. Back maybe a month ago, people suggested that, when you do cloning and copying and pasting, that kind of stuff, like the screen should say something. So that way you kind of know you did the action. There's been that. There's been what I talked about on our last stream where I was thinking about maybe changing the
Oh,
color. What?
you dropped for a very long time. I'm so sorry. It was right when you started talking about milling the enclosure.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was about a solid minute.
Oh,
I
well,
think I think
if you want to know what I said, then watch the video afterwards. That's super weird. Why is Discord having weird dropouts?
yeah. It's,
Oh well. Anyway, am I still here?
you are still here.
You are.
So next time
A
next time that happens, somebody say something because I'm not necessarily watching the chat, reading the chat.
okay. You mean I was speaking. Did you not hear
Oh,
me
I didn't even
talking to
hear
you?
anything, so never mind. I
Ah,
guess
yeah,
that's the first time that's happened. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm also streaming to Twitch, and I know that that's working
I'll
in
at
theory.
you in on Discord
Yeah.
stream chat.
Well,
Uh,
somebody else did. I just totally. Oh no, nobody did. Not in regards to that.
so someone in Discord chat asks regarding price and build. Have you determined a price target?
Yeah, I have. I think it's around 450.
450.
I think.
And do
But
you have
that
any intentions on selling any sort of like DIY kit?
no,
Someone asks. No,
no, because there's no do-it-yourself parts, right?
makes sense.
I mean, there's the buttons and the speakers,
Yeah, but most of it's all very very tiny
right? It's
like surface mount
yeah,
stuff, right?
and the stuff that is not resistors and capacitors, the stuff that's not passes is what we call those. The chips, a lot of them are difficult to solder because they don't even have exposed pads, so everything's like kind of under them. I mean, in the future, there could be like a totally different thing that is a do-it-yourself kit. Um, that's something that could be looked at some point. But for now, I just want to make the hardware that I want as a musician. I think I've said that before many times. Am I still here? Am I still
You
live?
are still
All
here.
right. Just play background music while I talk, and then that way I know that when
Got
I
it.
drop out. No, I'm kidding.
I just start waxing and waning on the philosophy of trackers while you're gone. It works really well because it's just complete white noise. So people just know I'm talking and they're just waiting for your voice to come back.
Yeah.
It's been working. It's been very effective so
Yeah,
far.
again, it looks like this might be a common problem with this meetup. I don't know why Discord's having a hard time, but my stream should be working fine. So you could always join there instead of on this specific Discord. You'll just hear me awkwardly checking if anybody is listening to me all the time. Why isn't anybody talking with me?
I'm here for you.
So yeah. Anyways, where I don't remember where I left off on Discord, but in general, I was just talking about the software changes that I made, which I could show you guys here. The software changes that I've been working on. One of the major changes that I've been kind of figuring out is how to get the DAC chip to work in 32-bit mode, which is such a minor improvement, but it's worth it. So currently, right now, the M8 is internal processing at 32-bit, and then it drops down to 16-bit to output to USB and output to the DAC that gets turned into audio. And the DAC can work at 32-bit, but of course, at some point, its noise floor hits a point where it's just noise that you're improving because it can't actually generate accurately enough. At some dB, like negative 70 dB. I don't remember what it is. There's a spec sheet out there, but it helps with eliminating some zipper noises, is what we call them, I guess, at super low volumes. And I got that working on output, which is nice. I'm also been trying to improve there's interpolation that happens on the envelopes on the synthesizers, basically because they're not exactly audio rate, because we can't really afford full audio rate envelopes. So there's like little steps that happen, and you can make a little filter that eliminates those steps. So I've been improving that a little bit. S pointed it out. We talked about it maybe 2 weeks ago. They were inquiring as to what the issue could be, so I started looking into all that stuff.
Always inquiring. That sounds great. The 32-bit mode, will that be added to the USB audio as well, or?
Not currently. I have to. So the USB side of M8 is using the Teensy Audio library. I modified it to try to make it more stable, because early on I was having issues with it. But all that stuff's part of like the Teensy core, and I have to basically rewrite how USB works, because how it's currently made, it's for like It works on Teensy 4, but it also works on like Teensy 3.2 or something ridiculous, where it's a much slower processor. And in that, the way that the M8 communicates through USB audio is weird. Whereas that's why if you used headless or a normal M8, when you change the buffer size, it actually has no effect. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but it literally has no effect, and that's because the mode that USB is operating in is different. Where instead of the computer saying like, "Hey, give me more stuff," it's the handshake process between the M8 and the computer. All that stuff I think needs to be changed, but some of it's a little bit over my pay grade because I never really worked with that low level USB stuff before. But it's also stuff that's going to be addressed. I just haven't had time yet to specifically address it because it's probably going to be, maybe a week of development. So it'll be improved. And yeah, I want USB to be 32-bit or at least 24-bit at that point. But yeah, no, USB is 16. I don't know if I cut out. Am I still here?
You are still
No,
here.
I'm
Thank
just
you.
not
Okay.
responding. Yeah, no, thanks.
Cool.
That sounds good.
God, it's going to make me paranoid for this entire stream.
I think before we were just confused and no one said anything because I think like I didn't know if it was just dropping out for me or for everyone. So
Or if you're just actually waiting for a reply.
Yeah, I guess I could quit. I could quit Discord and try reloading it entirely, but I just did that before I joined this channel, so I don't know if it's a weird issue on Discord's end or not.
Yeah, I mean it seems fine. Like the green border disappeared before when you cut out, so maybe that's
Oh, maybe I could
something to
watch for
look out
that.
for, and we'll shout.
I'll look out for that too and see if it changes on my end. Anyway, yeah. So that's the long end tail of everything. I could go ahead and show some of the minor features if you guys want, or if we have any questions or something currently, we could go about that.
Please show us the things.
Let me get set up. Boop. And share my screen. Am I live?
You're alive.
You are live.
Okay, so you can see here the colors are different between these two chains, chain 0 and chain 1. And that's because chain 0 has no note data in it. So if I put a note in here and I go back, now it's white. So what that would do is maybe help you a little bit, give you kind of a visual indication of like where your kind of filler content is.
Does that only pertain to note data, or
Only note
will it?
data.
So if you put in a drop in like a kill command, it's
It'll
still
still
going to be.
yeah.
That is lovely. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, it would be cool if there was a third color even where it was like any effects that aren't a kill command in there. Maybe a third, that's kind of getting into the weeds a bit. So, but for now, this might be helpful.
You could always bookmark that, I suppose.
Load in somebody's
Maybe
random
another update.
song. What?
Maybe another update sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, it could always be changed in the future. These are just this is just a simple idea to help give people a visual understanding of what's going on in their track. So this is a 10K track, I believe. And you could see you could instantly see like which tracks here or which chains here have no notes in them. So you kind of get a better idea of what's going on. So that's one change. Another one is when you copy, it gives you a little text there. It says copied selection. And when you paste, maybe I need to do it for delete, but maybe that's kind of obvious. I mean, it's obvious for delete. Or when you clone, it does that. Or when you deep clone, it says that. So that's kind of useful, I guess. Same thing here. If I clone in here, if I copy in here, and the same thing with the phrase. It's the same thing everywhere, except for cutting. I don't do in here. Maybe I should. Let's try copying. Yeah, copy works. Does paste do anything? No. So maybe it feels inconsistent, so I might add more textual data. But my initial idea when I skimmed through the code was just to add a visual indication to things that normally don't have a visual indication. You know? So like it would be annoying if it constantly, every time you deleted, it would say like deleted, because like you obviously know that it did that, you know? But maybe when you're in a selection and you delete, it should say like cut or something. That's something I should probably think about. Thoughts?
Yeah. It's, cut. I know cut is most people understand cut in a computer terminology, but it might be important to say cut to clipboard or something, so they know that you still have that information on hand
Well, right now it
in
says
case.
nothing, so.
Right. Right. I guess that's better than literally nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cutting has always applied to has always kind of applied as to clipboard, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. You know, like that's I guess the difference between delete and cut, right? Except for
Yeah.
an M8, even the delete is a cut, just for easily moving notes around if you want to.
I think that is something that's important to learn. I do remember or recall people demoing both LSDJ and this, and they accidentally deleting something and then panicking, where if you stop after you accidentally delete something and just push the button again, it'll paste it back.
Yeah, that was something with LSTJ. I didn't know that the actions in that were cuts. I always just thought they were deletes, and I never noticed that LSTJ does a cut until I was, looking at when I implemented on here. I was like, what does LSTJ do? And I'm like, oh, look at that. It also does a cut.
If that confusion is easily had, then it might be then it still might be a good idea to actually have like a message for delete.
Yeah, I don't think there is a actual delete in the phrase screen or any of these kind of table-based screens. It's always a cut, essentially. Oops, paste it. Yeah. Yeah. So any of these, Excel spreadsheets all have the same kind of action. There's never a real delete. It's always a cut.
Okay.
Is there anything else here? I shifted stuff around in the MIDI settings, which is maybe trivial and unimportant to everybody. I had to remove a whole row of stuff to fit there's going to be a new parameter at the very top of the screen that's not in here yet, which will be the MIDI type selection for the production units that have type A and type B. So you could flip, which type you're using for your MIDI port. But it actually might be more than that. Maybe it'll be like USB and MIDI type A and USB and MIDI type B, or MIDI type B or MIDI type A, that kind of thing. I don't know if turning on or off the USB is of any use. I haven't found a practical use for turning that on or off, but maybe there is one.
Might be just handy to have for a troubleshooting perspective.
Yeah, it's open to debate, but basically the bottom line is there'll be an extra row here at the very top for selecting the type. So I had to move this legato mode used to be right under the program change, and I moved it to be on the same row because I needed to clear up some real estate. The other thing is the transport mode has changed from simple on-off to off pattern-based and song-based transport on both the send transport and receive transport. And what that does is if you set receive transport to song mode, and receive sync on. Let me do this real quick. This is not going to work in my current setup, but I'll show you here. Is it this one? There we go. If you could see Ableton. Under preferences, there it is. In the MIDI inputs and outputs here for output on M8, you could have pattern or song mode here. And in song mode, when you send sync, and you're in like the song in Ableton, when you hit start anywhere in here, M8 will actually respond to that and go to its relative song position. So it's super useful for any DAW that does song mode based transport. Basically, it sends a song position, essentially, is all this setting does.
That's really, really handy.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And what this is useful for as well is for two M8s. If you eventually had two M8s, you could put, one in receive song mode and one in send song mode. And what that would do is it links the play bar. So if I hit start on this row, it'll start on that row on both M8s at the same time. And it does it by tick offset. So you have to have your phrase length basically matched, if you want it to be on that exact song row, etc. So it keeps all that in mind. So it's the same as, so when you hit start on row 1, it's the same as if you hit start on row 0 and waited for it to get to 1, if that makes any sense. Also, a live mode for two M8s now, they work together nicely. They snap to each other's grid or whatever for the chain length, for the quantization setting. So, yeah.
When you use when you do the row queue, does it row queue across both devices in live mode or in song mode?
No, it doesn't. No, that might be something to add. But for now, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
And I don't know if you'd want that or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think there are cases or
Use cases for both. Yeah, exactly. For now, it doesn't. Let's just keep it simple for the moment.
Okay.
The other weird thing that came into this, so let me rewind for a second. Doing tick-based song offset on a tracker like this is not a trivial implementation because the each track is independent and their lengths of each chain can be independent. So all these things have to factor in when you're trying to offset the song by a specific number of ticks, if that makes any sense. So another interesting case here, which is hard to figure out how to do, is if you have basically two little sub songs in here. Essentially, is what this is, right? Because this section of song will never get to this section because of this emptiness. So how would I start the M8 on this row if I wanted to by using a slave or a receive sync mode? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I have no idea.
What I ended up doing is, at least for now, is when you move your cursor to this section, we're now in this sub song. When I move the cursor back over to this section, we're now in this song. So if my cursor's here and in an Ableton or wherever or another M8, I start at row 0. I start at the beginning of the song. It's actually going to start here, if that makes any sense. But as soon as I move my cursor over to this section, it'll start. Well, my M8 will crash and reboot. Hold on a second. Yeah, this is still not even beta, so I'm still working on it. I think some of my crashing kinks are from the 32-bit DAC stuff that I'm still working out. So let me change my theme back. There we go. So anyways, yeah. This is not released yet, and it's crashed a couple times on me, so I have to figure out where it's crashing at. Anyways, what were we saying?
Sub songs.
Yeah. So it's gonna it basically, as you move your cursor, and if you have different blocks, like this, isolated blocks, it'll treat each of those blocks like a whole new song, which is useful because sometimes if you have a big song, like, you have a giant song and you want to make a new section, at least I do this, and I think a lot of people do. You copy the section you want to work on, and then you paste it far away, and you start working
Yep.
on that little isolated section. If you have two M8s, you could do that, and they'll play together in this area as long as both of their cursors are in this area. If you want one of them to be still on the normal row in the normal song, well, yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. You would hit start. If you hit start on the receiving M8 before you hit start on the song on the sending M8, the receiving M8 will ignore the song position and actually start wherever you hit start on, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
These are hard
I get-
things to put into words, but I try to make everything so it made intuitive sense when you use them. So, oops. Hey, look at that. I found a bug. Did you see that? My audio still working?
Yeah,
I missed the
Yeah.
bug.
Oh, let me see if I can do it again. I did it. Look what.
Oh, it took you all the way to FF.
Yeah.
All
Well-
right.
Yeah, I've seen this before. It's the scroll offset getting confused, so it just goes to the very end. Yeah, that's funny. It didn't do it that time. It only does it when the screen scrolls. Well, no, it didn't do that time. It's a random bug. Those are the fun ones. If it scrolls past a certain point. Anyways, point remains that let's try that. No, that worked. Yeah. So I'll fix that too. But yeah, just getting this version ready. I'll probably have a beta for this one because of the 32-bit stuff and potential issues with random crashes, but I'll probably figure that out. Normally random crashes it's because like I didn't assign enough memory to something. It's normally something simple like that. It's just a matter of tracking it down.
I kind of already know the answer to this question. I understand that
42.
the beta device. That's it. I understand that the beta devices do not have the TRS mode switching, but I imagine that feature will still be in the menu on the beta devices. Will it just kind of straight up just like ignore it, or
Yeah, I would ignore it.
okay? I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and it probably will be there and not function because it requires a chip on the M8 to do that switching. It's not
Okay,
a
no worries.
software thing; it's
I was
a
just
physical
curious.
thing. But yeah, that does bring up an interesting point in code diversion between hardware versions. Because I have to worry about stuff with headless as well, and I have a couple early versions of M8 hardware that have their own version too. So the less I have to do between those hardware code repositories, the easier it is for me to manage long term. So I might just keep it in there. It really depends on how it ends up being implemented. If it's a simple like thing I could configure, then I'll do that so you don't see it. If that makes sense.
Sounds good. Yeah.
I think so.
I guess I should just like say Marco whenever I need to do a mic check to make sure I'm still streaming to Discord. Marco.
Hello.
Polo.
Thanks.
Moyo.
Thanks for entertaining me. So
Thanks
I
for
think that's all I have
entertaining
to show on the current firmware I'm working on. I like how it randomly crashed on me. That's not embarrassing at all.
Thank you for
Crashes in
letting
the
us take a
beta
sneak peek. Yeah.
What was that?
Crashes in the beta product? No.
Yeah, I guess it's not even beta technically because I haven't released it to anybody yet. So, but I'll try to sort down that crash specifically. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the 32-bit stuff. That's the only major change currently. Everything else is kind of basic UI changes. Another thing I started looking at maybe adding 24-bit support for samples. If I do that, what I think I'll do is limit the pitch. So say if the sample's 24-bit, you could only go up 1 octave instead of 3 kind of thing. And that way you could always down convert it in the sample editor on the M8 if you want a higher pitch kind of thing. But the math escapes me currently, so I haven't quite implemented it yet.
How does that relate to pitch?
The speed of the SD card reading, right?
Oh,
so if it's 24-bit,
makes sense.
the data it needs is fast. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's all about that limitation with the SD card. So faster the pitch, the more data it needs to read. The bigger the bit rate, the more data it needs to read. Stereo, the more data, But like I had a simple math roadblock, and at the time I didn't have enough mental capacity to figure it out, so I stopped working on it for the time being. But it's like I need to deterministically align the play position of a sample, because you could do sample offset, but I need to align that so that way the left channel and the right channel is to the left and right channel, which is easy to do in 8-bit, and it's super easy to do in 16-bit. But in 24-bit, it's constantly flipping between the left and right channel. So I have to do just a little bit of math to align the data correctly. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think it's just as simple as like a division problem, but I haven't really investigated it yet. Yeah. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but when you're at
sounds logical enough.
when you're at 24-bit, it's a mono wave file at 24-bit means there's 3 bytes. A stereo. So stereo 24-bit file means there's 3 bytes. Yeah, per left channel, and then it goes 3 bytes right channel, and then 3 bytes left channel. So if you randomly do an offset as a command in the M8, it needs to make sure to start on the left channel. So yeah, just a little division. Anyway, at the time it was like late at night, and I'm like, oh no, math. I just stopped. Yeah. But yeah, I might be adding 24-bit, and the reason being is because if I'm adding 32-bit to the DAC, it'd be nice to also do 24-bit stem rendering. And if I do that, it would be nice to actually support the files that it can create internally. So it kind of almost pushes me into having to support 24-bit, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Marco.
Polo.
Polo.
So that's my presentation.
Thank you for letting us take a peek into what's to come.
So do we need to applause or what?
Thank you for my TED Talk. This is for my TED Talk.
Wait, I forgot to take notes.
It's a TED Talk. You can watch it on the website.
There will be a test on this, right? the spreadsheets.
It will be a spreadsheet test, yeah. So
access.
Do we want to dive into any fancy topics, or does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I didn't really prep anything this time, so I don't really have anything in mind to show. But yeah, I guess now would be a good time if somebody wants to know how to do something, we can figure it out, maybe. Or if they just have a general question about production, like M8 production stuff, that would be cool. Or we can just sit here and talk about our feelings?
I have feelings about that.
Would you
Well,
like to
talk
talk about
about
it?
I've been in a state of constant panic. That's how my feelings have been.
Does it have anything to do with production?
It does a little bit, yeah. It has to do with all the above, really. Yeah, it's a lot of stress to try to get, all the parts and pieces going correctly. It's fine,
I
actually. I don't know. It's fine.
it sometimes I think a lot of people, especially across the other channels that are servers that I'm a part of, who are watching the project from a distance, I have to, remind them that, it's basically just you running the ship right now, or for the foreseeable future, minus any third parties that you're talking to.
Hmm.
Um, I I I would say that the product you're making does in fact and is in fact very very uh, professional for all intents and purposes, and so people have this like weird expectation that you're like some like secret electron company or something, so
Yeah, I mean, I am. And I have tons of money,
all the money.
and I'm trying to
um,
just, I see a bunch of artists that don't have any money, and I'm just trying to take all they have. I am the evil corporation.
it would be easy to
Trash Musk.
perceive you as like a TE kind of
Yeah,
company if
it's
I
some kind
didn't
of
already
corporate
know
entity,
you.
right?
Yeah. So
Dirty
so
Corp.
I've done my best to curb that kind of stuff where I can, but yeah, I can see how
Are people
them not
Are
people
people
not
trash
knowing it.
talking?
They are trash 80 talking you.
That's a shame.
Um, uh, but yeah,
I
uh,
think the only thing that people can complain about is probably price point. But I mean, welcome to the world of boutique.
yeah.
We can't
Uh,
compete with China or like a Nintendo product, that
I
sells
mean,
millions. We just,
even when people are asking, people are asking like, oh, what's it going to go for? I told them it's going to be probably closer to 500 than it will be to 350.
you're right.
And everyone's just like, oh, that's totally, yeah, that's good. I was expecting more. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah,
I know it's way higher than I initially wanted this project to be. My original estimates was like, I don't know, like $150 at most.
Ooh.
Little did I know of all the expenses that go into it and how much is it worth my time. You know, how am I going to pay rent? That kind of stuff. So,
I mean, those are real legitimate questions and things you should absolutely factor in. Uh, I would love to
I mean, if somebody
make.
has an actual issue that they're saying somewhere else where I don't see it, that I can't address it, like they could always hit me up and ask me, and I'm a
Absolutely.
very honest person. So,
Yeah, yeah. I've not seen that myself, but I
That he's an
I'll be
honest
happy
person?
to.
what was that?
You haven't seen yourself that he's an honest person?
I think I'm an honest person. Do honest people say that they're honest, or do only people that are dishonest say that they're honest?
I think that sounds like something a mega corporation would say.
And maybe because you're saying that you sound honest, but maybe that's your whole plan.
The secret is out.
No comment.
Maybe that's your new tagline: honest, clean.
Maybe I should have called the company Dirty Corp. But then it sounds like Black Corporation, and that company's super cool. I want their products. I just can't afford them. Actually, that's what their tagline should be. You want our products. They're just really expensive. I don't know if anybody knows who Black Corporation is, but
I'm not familiar.
they
I
make
was about to ask.
Deckard's Dream,
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
which is the CS80
Clone.
yeah.
clone
I was
kind of thing.
looking at
Yeah.
the Make 2, and it looks like something I wish I had.
Yeah, it's super neat. They also make another synth that's super interesting too. I just don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But yeah, based out of Japan, I believe.
I would love it. I would love to have one. My music doesn't really suit the need for something like that,
Mine does.
but I would still. Yes, good, good. I
That's
know.
what you're saying. So just to buy one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing all this just so one day I could afford something by Black Corporation.
Yeah, no, same.
Depending on the success, you'll buy the pre-made one or the complete one.
Yeah, there's also that there's another analog synth that I like. I drool over, or not analog, the DSP one that I really want. I don't remember the name of that one though. It's like a DSP virtual analog Juno looking synth by a company out of UK.
Is it the Super 6?
Yeah, the Super 6. Yeah,
Yeah, the Super 6 looks
that thing sounds amazing. I'm like, I want that.
The sound is quite good too.
But anyways, talking about things that I can't afford. Why do I need all that stuff? I have an M8.
Yes, that's the right thing, the right mindset.
Yeah.
It's just gas, man.
I was
We're all a
watching
little gassy.
I was watching something where I hope I have this on my future features list, but it would be really cool to do voice allocation at some point.
Yes.
So you could do single channel chords and that kind of stuff.
I mean, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely something on the list. The reason why I brought that up is because I was thinking about polysynths, and I'm like, I want a polysynth. I have an M8. If only if I could sequence poly on it.
Have you thought about it at all? How it would work? Like
It'd probably be the
UX
same as like
wise?
you would probably maybe I'd do some research. Electron, some research.
What?
What? Huh?
Yeah, but because you would want some way to say like, maybe it's just smart enough where I don't have to do any configuration. Where it's like if you use a chord command, and there's some channel that's not playing anything, it'll use that, and if there isn't a free channel, it'll just ignore that note.
Yeah, it could be that simple. I mean, it could be sort of instrument level setting where you say this
at the
instrument
allocation
will take up. Yeah, will take up empty spaces if there are any.
The problem is note offs. There's no note offs, so
yeah,
I don't know. It's something to think of. There's so many like little features on the back burner that's just another one.
I know on the NerdSig, for example, note off is its own special note when you use delete in an empty space.
Yeah, I was thinking
like a bracket.
I think we were talking about that like 6 months ago, and I was thinking about doing the same. That would be my implementation of a note off as well. It's just the kill command is a delayed note off, right? But then there would also be like if you just hit delete on or cut because there is no delete. If you did a cut on an empty row, it would just put a note off command in there. Yeah, that would work. I mean, there's some extra space in there because we're only utilizing 0 to 127 currently. So actually, that's not true. We're using 0 to 127, and then we're using 255 for the nothing is in there. Sorry, I went into the weeds. Coding thing. So it's something to kind of that's why like if you notice chains go up to FE, and the reason being is because the song data FF is actually the nothings in there.
Oh, the little dashes.
Yeah. So everything that's actually shows the little dashes, those are actually, chain, if you will, chain number FF. It's not.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, and the same thing with like the note column on the phrase. Like an empty note is not empty. It's because you could have a note value be C. I don't know what it is currently. C2 or C0, I think. I don't remember. C1 is the first note, which is actually note 0, and if you looked at it like a MIDI chart or whatever. So Yeah, FF means there's no value. I think that's how LSDJ does it too. I don't know. But yeah, that's why you hit those. That's where that limitation comes from, the FE limitation.
I'm not sure. I haven't really opened up LSDJ in a while. It's been a few years.
I think the phrases goes up to FE, and the chains stop at 7F. I think
Yes.
it's been a little bit for me too. But yeah, does anybody have any questions or anything to show besides me just talking?
I've only
Marco,
been tinkering.
what was that?
Polo.
I've only been tinkering with trackers for like a month, so no, not really.
I haven't really worked on anything since I did that live set. I'm not sure if there's anything else I could demo. I've been kind of taking a break.
S sent me a demo or something to show.
Excellent.
But that's only one piece of content.
I can show you
I could
something I
I
played.
could make a song right now if that makes us feel better.
We're gonna do that. Time for you to make a song, a full track. You have 15 minutes.
That'd be hilarious to try to make, like, don't care about quality or anything, just try to make a song within like a couple minutes and see how long it takes.
I mean, it'd be a good way to showcase the speed and efficiency of your fantastic UI.
The thing I always like, personally, I always like doing a typical song structure, typical rock song structure, I should say, where I do like, verses and choruses and bridges and that kind of stuff. The thing that always takes the longest is either like designing a chorus that has a hook and or the chord progression or the different melodic structure that is one or the other and transitioning between, verse and chorus. So like I immediately start, it's the classic case of trying to break the loop, essentially.
Yeah, I too struggle with the B section.
And for all those that want to know the secret of breaking the loop, the secret is to turn off your give a shitter. Because if you stop caring, you could just insert random data and be done with it. And that breaks the loop.
Honestly, when I get stuck, I just try to make a new song, using all the same elements, all the same instruments and stuff. I just try to make a new song and then, oh, these kind of work, and then I slowly modify them so that
They
they
fit together.
bridge together.
So that's a
Literally
good idea
bridge.
because I think a lot of us have like, hundreds. Depends on how long you've been making music, but it could be tens, it could be hundreds, it could be thousands of like single loop, 4-bar or whatever files, just like an idea that was stuck in the loop. So the concept is just pick 2 of those and put them together in the same song.
Yeah, no joke. If you watched my set, that I played the other week, I like go back and load the same project file like 3 or 4 times during like over the course of the hour I'm playing, and I'm just like going back to all these little micro songs and bouncing between them just over and over again.
For me, it's that problem or the problem of like, I think something is good, so I save it, close it, and open it the next day, and it's terrible.
Oh, that's every time I open up the M8. I'm just like, oh, what was I thinking?
It'd be cool to like somehow make an algorithm that's like it's like a loop breaker. So it like looks at the content that you made and then like algorithmically suggests like another section of that content.
I thought that's what Interpolate does. Interpolate your music into a new song.
I think that's where like AI is going to be super cool in helping artists. It's that it's just that random button, the like a lot of M8 doesn't have.
There's that neural
the random
AI
patch button
that like takes a song
It makes a new song
and
from it.
makes a new song from it, but in the style of other people. So you could make like Elvis sing like a Kanye style song. If that makes sense. I
I
don't know.
think I
I'll
saw
have to find
something
it for
like
you. It's like real
but
funky.
it sounded pretty terrible at the time that I remember. Like it sounded very washy,
Mm.
like it's been scrubbed through water or something. But I don't know. That could be something else entirely that I was looking at.
I'll have to find it. I'll find it after this chat for some supplemental media.
Yeah, I guess all this is kind of futile anyways, right? Because eventually AI will just make all of our music for us. All of our art will just be
Looking
generated.
Handmade music would really be the boutique thing.
I guess eventually you could have art be auto-generated and then automatically be tokenized and sold as an NFT.
Oh no. Nightmare
Oh
world.
no.
I know how we could just ruin everything. Let's just flood the market with 1 billion songs or 1 billion pieces of art. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'm being I have a dark mood today.
It sounds a bit too real for a joke.
I know, right? It reminds me of like 2006 or 2007, something like that. When we started getting used to like having access to Wikipedia on our phones. I don't know if everybody's old enough to remember this time period where it's like it ended all like coffee shop debates that people used to have with their friends. Like, no, that's not a word. That word means that, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It used to be fun back then because it's like who could debate who's right, is how well you could debate your argument versus like who could whip out their phone faster to look up the answer. Anyways, I had this idea of like, I'm going to start a society of misinformation where we go on Wikipedia and edit all the articles and add like muhahaha to stuff when it sounds like evil mad scientist and, all this kind of stuff. And nowadays, that's our biggest problem is like misinformation. Little did I know back then, like I said it as a joke. And it turns out that it's actually a thing now that's a huge problem.
Somebody overheard you and implemented it.
No, not at all. No, it's not an original idea. At the time I found it amusing, and now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, that's like the biggest problem right now.
This is the cyberpunk dystopia you were wishing for.
Yeah. I did not know that the dystopian future, the post-apocalyptic dystopian future would have a lack of toilet paper. I just didn't have that foresight. This is not the dystopia I ordered.
A very boring dystopia.
A really shitty one. Zing.
Oh, haha.
Oh, I get it. The toilet paper.
Yeah,
It all makes sense.
yeah.
Okay. It took a second. I was like, wait, where's the thing? Oh.
Here I'm sitting here, Marco.
Hello.
So I could try writing a really quick song if we want to do that. I don't know if there's anything to take away from it. Like if it's going to do anybody any good.
If anyone had any like very specific questions regarding maybe commands or something, that'd be cool. It'd be like, oh, here's a song using this command. Kind of like you did when you made the generative ambient using the hops.
Oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
When did I do
sounds
that? That sounds fun. Let's do that. Make a song in 1 minute. It's just like random blip loops.
Just
That's
highlight,
totally cheating,
interpolate
isn't
between
it?
two notes. Yeah.
That's cheating. I'm going to do it anyway.
That's why you need a random button.
Hold on a second. I'm sharing my screen now. Yeah, I think that's why I need a random... Like, it'd be cool to just randomize this patch, huh? There, that's my random patch.
Sounds beautiful.
French.
See, that's not going to work very well because you're going to end up with 99% of the time, it's going to sound like something like that as soon as you try to hit the random button. Only instead it'll be like, you know, all reverb and like panned awful.
You could go for
I
a pseudo random thing.
I love that you had the hard pan, but Discord turned it mono, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
it didn't sound any different.
FM. How did I do random notes? Did I do it using hops? Because I bet I could just do it using.
Yes. You turned the tempo all the way down, and then had hop, and then random FF, so that it would randomly hop after every new step.
That's a good idea. I could do this. Where's that command? Oh, that's not gonna work, is it? Why doesn't that work? Oh. See what I'm trying to do? Oh, because it's a random hop, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh wait. Yeah, it's a random hop because that hit first. That's annoying. So I guess I'll just have to do that. Oh, that doesn't work. Hold on. Still doesn't work. Oh, pitch slide. Dummy.
Yeah, I was.
Marco.
Hello.
You did it. Your 1 minute song.
Sounds like Dana Loop.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That FM synth almost sounds analog. I like the filter on it. Oh wait, the filter's off. It's a terrible idea. Another idea would be to what somebody was talking about. I don't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about maybe doing intervals, scales, or something. So like,
If you're. Oh yeah. I did this. I made scales in the table, and then just the table has the random hops, and then you just hop to all those different intervals.
that's my song with only using C5.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. You know what? I have screw FM synth. So another topic that I need to worry about coming up here is coming up with a sample library for the SD cards. I started recording a bunch of my gear and making a little, you know, a library of things that I actually own. I love the JD800. Like, I don't know why these like, it's like these like old like early '90s Rompler keyboards. For some reason, like I like them now when I used to hate them. Oops. You know what I'm talking about? Or is it just me?
It turns out all the cool video game music in the 90s used Romplers. Super Nintendo and just 64. And now everybody wants a Rompler. Now people are building Rompler rack mounts into their studio.
Yeah. I did that like 2 years ago. I think I bought a Well, I bought the JD 800 and I bought a JP 2080, and then I
yeah,
expanded the 2080 or whatever.
I see a lot of friends grabbing either the 1080 or the 2080.
I don't remember why I chose the 2080. I think because it just has a bigger display. Some people talk about like how the DACs are different, but I'm not that particular. Like, I don't think the DAC really gave it the sound that I'm looking for. I think it was just the like super generic presets.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
like a little bit of magic in them. Yeah, this is terrible, but here you go. Oops. How does this work? That one, and then that one, and then that one. No, it's that one. Bear with me a second. I'll just hold that. Yeah, that's my new song. And then I'm going to... Oh, I just need to remove the... No. Oh, I just need to do that. Whoa, that sounded abrupt. If I do a slide. Is this entertaining at all, or am I boring everybody?
I'm having a good time.
Okay.
Same.
Still abrupt.
Polo.
Whoa. What if it started early? Oops. These samples, like every time it re-triggers, it just sounds super abrupt.
If it were me and I were writing this, I'd put a very, very slow vibrato just to make it a little bit out of tuney.
Like that?
Yes, exactly like this. Just like really low.
This reverb dampening's not damp enough. This is so terrible. I'm trying, okay?
No, it sounds nice.
Maybe it's
some,
the slide's a little bit longer, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe I just get rid of the slide.
Some fast, airy drums, and you're good to go to make like a
Oh.
PS2 soundtrack.
Yeah.
Let's try a different one. Oh. There's your PlayStation.
Yep. I was just thinking.
Is that one? Yeah, it's that one.
Bomberman Hero Time.
Oh yeah, it's so Bomberman. Did anyone play Bomberman Hero for Nintendo 64 sound?
Yes. I was just listening to the soundtrack the other day, actually.
It sounds
Wow,
weird
that's
when it sounds weird when it changes. Oh, did I do that? No, I didn't. Okay. Just sounds so abrupt for some reason. It's almost like it sounds like there's a bug. But that can't be the case.
It sounds like it's re-triggering.
Exactly. That's right. It's so much. It's so wet with effects right now. So that sounds right.
It's probably just because there's a lot of movement in the sound. It's
Yeah.
just,
Oh, it'd be cool to be backwards. Whoa. Let's see. Start 0, length, down more. Yeah, that'll work. And oh, so close.
Beautiful.
It'd be cool to like have that so it well, it actually sounded continuous, but I'm switching from major to minor between so there's two instruments here. One's the sample in minor and one's the sample in major. So it'd be cool if I could make a good transition between that flip. But I don't think I could without using 2 chains. I guess I could try with 2 chains though. How do I do this?
2 chains.
I'm gonna try it. It's okay. But then how do I fade out? Oh. What's the... Bear with me. This is going to take a minute. 64. I'm going to do this lazy. Oops. I'm going to do a really abrupt fade just to see if it works. So for those that don't know, I just did an interpolation between 2 values by using select and then hitting the edit button instead of the... I think that's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did. Hitting the edit button instead of the B button. Yeah, that's what I did. So that's chain 4 is a thing. And then on this one, I do chain 4 and then nothing. Hey, there we go.
Very nice.
That sounds lovely.
I mean, it's too long of a fade out, but you get the idea. It works a little bit better when switching between those. Maybe so another way to do that would have been instead of doing the velocity, because the velocity is going to be really steppy as it goes through each of those steps. Another way would be I could use a table if I wanted to. Let's try it with a table. Table 80. This is still going to be steppy, but it's just another way of doing it. So table 80, I'm going to do a volume minus and a hop. So that should work, right? Hey, it worked. It just ran out of sample there. I think that worked, didn't it? Let's make it really abrupt just to make sure it worked. Marco.
Hello.
Thanks.
Oh, I had my microphone off this entire time.
Yeah, it does work.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's another way of doing it. A third way of doing it. So if I don't know if this makes sense to everybody here, but I made a new table, table number 80, and there it's constantly decreasing the volume by 1, and it's just looping that. So it's basically just a simple envelope. It's still going to be kind of steppy, but less steppy than using this velocity table column. It's going to be less steppy because this is a tick-based volume ramp down, and the one in the phrase would be row-based. So there's more steps in using the table here. Another method would be to go into the instrument and set up a volume envelope and maybe some decent kind of decay, and no amount. And what that does is basically nothing until, I think this should work, until I do a envelope amount command. In theory. I don't know if this will work, but we'll give it a try. Worked too well, huh? Oh, I need to also re-trigger it. I think. No, that doesn't work really well, does it? Hey, it was worth a shot. I think we need to just double these up. Hey, yeah, that works. It's kind of hacky, though.
It's pretty cool.
But
I've-
how that
I've
worked
never tried-
was, you can see the little green dot there, is what was happening with just one of these commands. The green dot would start halfway on the amount. So by doubling them up, I wonder if there's an easier way of getting that. Can I do like FF? Will that just work or not? No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It was worth a shot. So what if I do 80? That would be down all the way, right?
I think that's max down.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be it. And that's going to be the cleanest way of doing a volume ramp down out of everything. But the only issue with that is I have to duplicate that between the two. The two instruments. Yeah. Oops. What did I mess up? Oh, did I? Yeah, I did. There we go. Set that to maybe 20. Hey. We're all learning together. Oh, look at that. I forgot there's another change in M8 that I totally forgot about. Did anybody else notice that?
Can you do it again?
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, I see it.
It's like
Pretty
that.
cool.
It's like that picture game where you touch the differences, like the bar game thing. There's an asterisk next to the phrase number 4, and there isn't one in phrase 0, meaning that phrase 0 is unique in the entire song. So you can make changes here or not affect any other phrase in the song. You know that because there's no asterisk next to it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So it's a small, yeah. That's what I'm working on. This version, just small little usability updates. I don't know if that makes it more confusing or less for new people. But for those of us that are used to this kind of LSDJ workflow, I think it's probably pretty helpful. But if you're anything like me, what you'll end up doing is forgetting about that anyways and still messing up your song.
I was gonna say I'm probably just gonna blind it completely, just from my previous muscle memory of always trying to remember which phrases I've already used or modified.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, maybe I should just invert the entire display. Just invert the display whenever it's not just make it
my God.
super insanely obvious. Or I could just have it prompt you. Are you sure? Are you sure you wish to edit this?
Please don't. That'd be just a nightmare.
And never have it always ask. So anytime you
sure?
do anything.
Are you sure you want to navigate away from the chain screen? Just
Maybe we should have a
every
password
select
log.
directional.
in a perfect world where I had infinite amount of time and storage, I would really love if there was like a clippy version in an M8, but not clippy, just like some little character. So it's like a interactive tutorial, like while you're using it, and it does that like old school RGP or role playing game or RPG style talking, where like as its mouth is moving, it's just like a square wave kind of pitched thing. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's just like, boop,
Uh-huh.
boop, 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 boop. But it like it guides you through like making a little song or something.
It'll be the new mascot. It'll be a little taco named Tim.
It'll be
Taco Tim.
it'll be what would be the I guess it'd be cool if it was a floppy disk, because nobody knows what that is.
Don't you mean the save icon?
Yeah.
What's a floppy disk?
So I was trying to think of like a modern equivalent of a paperclip, and the only thing that comes to mind instantly is a floppy disk. It's funny. The other day I added a hole to the underside of the M8, like a little pinhole, almost like you use for like your phone for taking out the SIM card. And that's for accessing the hard reset button that helps if the firmware somehow gets corrupted as it's doing an update, as you're updating your M8. If something goes wrong, you could always reset it. And I was like running around my shop trying to find a paperclip to see what the diameter of a paperclip is, to make sure that like a simple household item could be used, for accessing that hole.
Right.
And I couldn't find a paperclip. And I'm like, when's the last time I've actually seen a paperclip? And I don't even remember.
Oh, jeez.
So instead I had to use Google. So I hope that's right. But yeah. Anyways, side story. But yeah, that's kind of funny that I was like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if it was like big enough for a common household item and not just a SIM card like eject tool. And I guess paperclips aren't really household items anymore like they used to be, I think. I mean, do you have a paperclip?
Yeah.
I don't actually.
Yeah. I think at least one of us has one. So if you go on like
we can share.
Amazon just to order like a paperclip because you need to reset your M8.
God.
Well, don't most people have a tool for changing out their SIM card on their phone?
I don't think Apple users normally do, but I could be wrong about that.
Apple does, or Apple did at least. They have like a little pin, so you get, and if you poke it, it pops out the SIM card.
I think it depends on the model. I think because there's the digital version of a SIM card nowadays too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah,
my
the
card doesn't even
eSIM.
have a physical SIM in it.
Yeah. So I think my phone doesn't, but I don't know. I'd have to take off the stupid case, figure that out.
I'm
But
so used to having only SIM only, so
yeah, I think it's especially more common in Europe for SIM card replacement and that kind of stuff because of how
yeah.
the GSM network is set up there. At least that's what I've discovered. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, I've never seen an internal SIM ever over here.
Yeah, I think some Apple phones don't have. At least I could be wrong about this. At least they used to or didn't. I don't remember if they now have them or now don't have them. But I haven't. I'm an iPhone user, and I've never had to touch a SIM card since I've been using iPhone, for instance. But that's neither here nor there. The other issue I have with that hole, though, by the way, is there's a little red LED that turns on so you know that it's now like being reset. And I'm like, I should add another hole that so you could see the LED light up. Then I'm like, no, but I can't add another hole because then people will want to probe the LED with with the SIM card tool. And I'm like, huh. Yeah.
Yeah, then it turns to covering it up, but that's extra costs, and do you want to do that?
Yeah, exactly. It's all like designing around all of the holes that you run into is what I guess that's what product design is in general, right? It's having an idea and then designing your ways around it to finally achieve that silly idea.
Yeah.
Anyways, I suggest we listen to S's song because it's really good and it's super impressive. What do you think?
I would love to hear it.
Yeah, because I'm kind of
Same.
over trying to make a weird little song, but it was interesting nonetheless because you guys got to learn with me because I had no idea how some things worked. It's funny.
The only way to know is to try.
Yeah. And a lot of like for application like this, because it's so open ended, like you could insert all these weird commands that do certain things. A lot of the time, you don't have to write code to handle every situation, because if you write the right code, things just work out how intuitively you would have wanted them to work anyways. So sometimes in that process, like I don't even remember what the default behavior of something might be. So on that note, this song is by S or ESS on Discord, and do you want to tell us about it a little bit at all?
Yeah.
Or should I just play it?
S is correct. Yeah, it's just some FM synths in a chain. No, but I tried to make some stuff with the
It's
FM synth. And,
the winner of the single channel award competition that we didn't have.
Where's Brightface?
Well, thank you.
Why isn't he here right now?
Well, it's just kind of I tried to add more channels, but it just got annoying. So, but yeah, it's some FM explorations. Everything is the FM synth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super neat. I like what you did. I heard it in advance, so I got the cheat. I got a sneak peek. And on that note, I will go ahead and play it. Thanks so much for submitting a track. And if anybody else wants to share their song on our next meetup, or even on this one now, if you want to send me a bundle now, you can. But feel free to submit a song because we love sharing. If I had a song, I would play it too, but I don't. That is super great. I think I totally screwed up the song, by the way. Let me see here. No, I didn't. Okay, good. I swear I thought the volume was like originally FE and not EE.
Oh no! It was somewhere around there. Yeah.
So maybe when I
No,
first played it back, I might have accidentally nudged it.
no, it sounded correct, except for some loss of low end, I guess.
Are you watching on
Only
Discord?
one track. Amazing.
Yeah, maybe it's the Discord stuff.
Yeah. It sounds better in stereo anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super great.
Yeah, that's
I
fantastic.
love your use of the effects in this stuff. It's
Yeah, it's got
and
some
the use of
funny.
silence as well is super neat.
Yeah, it's like my go-to trick when I'm doing, making the musics. I like having these dramatic. So
Can we
I
see
do.
inside the tracks?
Yeah, for sure.
See, there you go.
Yeah, the phrase before that has
It's just like mute all effects. Okay, that's the song.
kinda. Yeah, I would love to have a reverb volume command.
A what? A what command?
Like reverb volume.
Is there not?
I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
I think we talked
We
about
talked about this before. Yeah, yeah. That's on the list. I think that's on the list. I'll need to double
But
check.
yeah, instead I just kind of made it much smaller towards the gap, and it just worked out.
Oh, I guess you could. Did you do a master volume like mute? Maybe you
There's
did.
some. I think there's one there somewhere too. Maybe.
Because I remember there being like complete and utter silence at some point. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Volume,
Yeah. There
master
you go.
volume,
Yeah.
0. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm stealing your
But
secrets.
yeah, that one is the best. The EF offset hop.
Yeah, what's that about?
Well, it's just to make the timing better of the transitions.
That's interesting. I didn't even notice that you went off the grid at some point.
Yeah, no, I just felt like the transition was a bit awkward. I wanted to land differently. So
offset hops are very handy. I use them if I'm doing using 2 tracks and using one for a non-effect delay. You can just copy the same chains and just add an offset hop so that it starts later without having to put it all in again. It's very handy.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that track. It's super neat. Does anybody have any? I mean, I don't want to pull your track apart because it's your song,
no,
not
you can
mine.
do it. I don't care.
Can I steal your secrets?
Well,
It
yeah,
looks like you
can
use
have
just a bunch of FM synths,
Yeah, it's all FM synths. Yeah,
but I
it's all
mean like a lot of them,
Yeah, I think a lot of them are
like
probably
clones.
redundant or unused because it's just like something I kept working on. And
Let's find out.
yeah, there we go.
14 instruments were not being used.
Yeah, it's the FM synth, all of it, pretty much.
When you
Some of them are like duplicates and have like specific added mod functionality or something like that, or like a variation of the sound.
So I have a FM synthesis design question. When you're making FM synth sounds, when you're making a sound, are you going in knowing kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah, usually.
And you're able to achieve it normally?
No. Well, it depends on the sound. Like I guess, there's this metallic snare, and in my head I was like, I want to make this like Sophie style snare that she did in like Pony Boy or whatever, like these clangs. So I mean, like it's takes some finagling, just like getting there. But for most of the time, I kind of have an idea of where to go, and like an area that I know will get me there.
Right.
Then it's just like fine tuning that.
Right. I think for me, like I know what algorithm I need to use when I'm looking for a certain sound. because I know like it needs to have I need to have a sub bass, you know, in there, so I know I need you know, that narrows down the algorithms to like 3 different ones, right? That have 2 independent output pitches, right? Or I'm looking for something that has like that's noisy that then but also has a mixed in like bass with noise, you know, that narrows down my algorithm scope. But I always find it really hard to put into words like how I do it. And I don't know if sometimes like I'm kind of guesstimating exactly what I'm looking for and then like hoping it gets there. So that's why I wanted to ask you, because I know that a lot of people have questions about the practical use of FM synths to get like a practical result. Because in subtractive synths is really generally pretty easy to get there, right?
Yeah, you turn the knob, it makes a sound. No, but I mean, yeah, it's more direct. I mean, I think it's quite hard to explain, like, yeah, it's hard to like explain exactly how to get there with FM because it's, I mean, it gets so abstract so quickly.
Especially
but
like
I don't know.
like if you want to do a bass synth that sounds like it has a low pass filter on an envelope, you know, it's like how exact. Well, I kind of know how to do that, I guess now, but for somebody that doesn't, like I don't even know how to approach that as like if I'm making a guide on how to do that. I don't even know how to word the process.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the wording is really hard to think about, but I don't know. I think about it a lot in like kind of chunks of stuff. So like, you know, you have like a radio. There you have like 2 operators. One is modulating as a ratio of 2. You kind of know how that sounds like, so then you can kind of think about one above there as like sort of introducing another timbre in there. Thinking about try and think of how that will like mix stuff. I don't know. I think as with like any synth or whatever, you have to sort of get some intuition into it, I guess. Because like,
how do
if
you
you would try to
teach
play,
intuition?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like, but it's like the same. I guess it's like learning tweak an analog synth also. If you would explain it like how it actually works, it's still kind of weird, right? But it's like more direct when you turn stuff. You what's happening. But FM sort of has more dimensions in a way, I guess. So it just gets very, yeah.
Yeah, the weird stuff is like creating a square wave. You know, like I know how to do it,
I
but
guess, yeah.
like it's almost like a trick knowing how to get a square wave or knowing how to get a saw wave, you know? It's like knowing those basic fundamental tricks to get to a normal primitive that one might be used to.
And then some douchebag on the internet is like, do you know you can actually PW?
Do you know what? Sorry, you broke up.
Oh,
Marco.
no. Hello. No, I mean, yeah, there's so many cool things. Like you can do PWM.
Right.
It's a really strange trick, but it's like, it really works.
I'm going to try that right now just to see if I can do it, because I
don't think
think I've ever.
You need negative feedback and negative modulation, I think.
So I'm going to start off with a square wave somehow, which I think I could do it like this. Hey, I did a square wave. And what if I detune this guy? That's not quite it. What if I take?
Close enough.
What if I take 2?
Sometimes.
What if I change the algorithm so it's 2? Now it's 2 separate ones, and then I make them all square waves, but then I detune one of them. Would that work?
It will kind of. Oh, it's inverted.
And I just clip the hell out of it.
Well, okay.
Yeah, no, the normal way I do it, like cheating when something doesn't allow it, is I could take you take two saw waves and you invert one of their phases and
Yeah.
you detune one, and that'll create a pretty good. That's like my renoise hack or whatever for doing PWM synths and renoise natively. But in
Yeah.
this, there's no way to do a negative shape, is there? Well, let me turn down this one. So that should be that. And this one should be turned up. And that should be that. So now I have two. It's close. It's just not quite there. Wait. It's pretty close.
It's nice though.
Yeah. So another trick in M8, which I don't know if I ever covered this in, I don't think I have in a meetup, is so there's this the fine tune parameter, which if you need to get more fine tuned than this, you could double or quadruple or 8 times your ratios, and that will give you finer tune detune. So if I have a 2 and a 1 here, I'm gonna set this to 4 and 2 on both of these, and that effectively brings up the note an octave. But now when I do a detune, it's going to be slower modulation. And if I do that again, so 4 to 8 and 2 to 4. 8 and 2 to 4. Bring down that pitch back to where it was.
I didn't really think of that, yeah. You should add a fine destination though on the mod.
Oh, there isn't, is there?
That'd be nice. No. I don't think that would be.
It's a struggle between usability and advanced things, and there should be the argument was there should be a way to detune these, because normally in an FM synth there is a detune per operator, and there isn't in this. This is actually changing the ratio, not the detune, which is slightly different.
Oh yeah, you mean pitch relative instead of
yeah, exactly. In a normal FM synth there would be that, but then that's a lot more parameters to manage, and I didn't have the real estate either in memory or in screen space. I don't remember which. I'm still trying to get this PWM going. Well, that sounds terrible. Oh well. But hey, at least I showed people a neat trick with the ratios. It's so funny because it almost sounds like it's low quality because it's not a perfect, like what you're used to with a perfect square. It has a roundness to it, and it almost reminds me of like a really low grade MP3. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but
yeah, it has a little bit of a spectral smearing going on.
yeah.
It's a very strange waveform.
Yeah, I'm messing everything up. Sorry about that.
But
hey,
yeah, one thing I
tried.
kept doing with the FM synth was like stacking the same envelope for the same modulation destination. That really to make stuff snappier.
Should I load back up your song again?
If we're talking tricks.
So like this one here?
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff like that.
What is that? What would that do?
It would kind of make it exponential, I guess.
Does that actually work?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's really great. Like for making drums, it's the only way, in my opinion.
What instrument is that? Or a lot of them are like that, huh?
Yeah. I think even the intro one, if you can actually look at the first screech there at the intro. If you look at it and remove the twos, you will hear that it's much more linear after that. So it's like
I can't hear the difference, but
Oh.
maybe I'm crazy. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just found that was fascinating because I guess it should work.
Yeah. No, it does work. Definitely does.
I just never did that. I never
Yeah.
thought of that as a use case, I guess.
Oh, it's really, really great.
What if we slow down your song a whole bunch so we could steal all of its
Mm.
secrets like that? This is great.
Fantastic.
It's like something that should be part of an art installation now.
Sounds very contemporary. All of it.
Anyway,
I can see the James Turrell
that's a
in
good.
my
I
mind.
wanna actually try that trick you mentioned while we're here from scratch. So
Yeah, try making a bass drum. That's where it's like very obvious. That's a great trick.
a bass drum.
Or like if you want to make something that's like clicky or snappy, basically.
I see something with a really short.
Yeah, transient. Yeah.
Okay, so well, I mean, I could just do. I could just do that. What was that? Mod 1. So I got an idea. I'm gonna use 2. So I want 2 voices to happen simultaneously. So I'm gonna use an algorithm that uses 2 voices. You could tell by the brackets if it's 2 voices or not. So if there's 2 sets of brackets, I think that would be the rule, right? So this is 2 separate voices. You have this guy here, A and B, and then this one here, C and D. So if I increase the pitch of this one a lot, let's get rid of the modulators, so it makes it really simple with 2 sine waves. So you can hear the two separate notes. I'm gonna make that really annoying, and I'm gonna assign that really high pitch one to level. It is. It's like doubled, so it's like half the time. It's interesting. It's like super subtle, depending on like how extreme, I guess, the waveform is, maybe. Right?
I guess it depends a bit on like, yeah, what you're doing. Like for drum sounds where transients are very critical, it makes a huge difference.
Maybe level's a bad no. Level to carrier is probably bad, but to modulator it's probably better that way. No. And let's bring that back down to somewhere normal. Why can't I hear you?
You're clipping too much.
There it is. Yeah, so it makes the envelope faster essentially by applying it twice. It reaches 0 much faster, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Would be the
And I
idea
don't know,
behind it.
it depends on how it's routed, but I guess, I mean, sometimes, yeah, I guess it just sounds.
Yeah, to get a
Like
good
sometimes you
nice
can like
transient click for a drum, I guess is your point.
Yeah.
Like it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
And also like some of the sounds use it where I'm using the same source for 2 different things, but I want the one thing to be faster than the other. So it just kind of makes a relative.
That's a good trick, and
Just makes a relationship.
it
Yeah.
doesn't really eat up anything to do that too.
No, exactly. Yeah. So like maybe I use like if you put one lev to the D operator now.
Right. I'm just
That
gonna
would be
kind
or
of
whatever.
reset this guy.
Yeah.
So we have 2 sine waves. One is an octave higher than the other one, and they're both ending really, really quickly. What am I missing? The level on this guy needs to be turned up. There we go. It's also really quiet for me. Okay. So if I want like that higher pitch one to go like twice as fast, I could just do that. Right?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's an interesting trick to get like somewhat different module, but it's not. It's still
Yeah,
only
no.
using one envelope, so you still have
Yeah,
another envelope to do everything else. That's a
it's super
cool.
handy.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, no,
Thanks for
it really
sharing.
makes. You're welcome. I mean, it really makes. Like I really enjoy working with this synth with mod slots and stuff because it really makes it easy. These sort of interesting relationships between the different operators and sources
You mean
works well.
this weird mod thing?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's really good.
It was it was a workaround to try to figure it because you know how many parameters can be in a FM synth. Like I was staring at Dext or something, looking at the sheer scale of the number of parameters that are in a typical FM synth. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to squeeze all that into a tiny M8 interface. Yeah, and that was kind of the workaround, the compromise, I guess is more
no, I think it's
appropriate
really
way of
good. I
saying.
mean, I with too. It kind of makes it into like where you have to think about. You have to kind of have a strategy to your sound, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you
Also,
find it
you
of some use.
yeah, it's in fact the only thing I've made so far. But also another thing that you can on like the digitone, for example.
Check that boy out.
Oh,
So
there's this envelope called.
this is like Dext, but this gives you an idea of like how many parameters an FM synth could have exposed normally. So you know, before I started on this, I was looking at something like this, and I'm like,
with those absolutely overkill envelopes.
Yeah, I mean that's what my take on it was when I started like really kind of deep diving was that I don't really need too much, like I don't need that kind of envelope control. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
nice
mean,
for
most people
purists
don't.
and people that like want to create something very specific,
Yeah.
but it would be a nightmare on the M8, I think, to try to manage that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good point in there that like having more parameters doesn't mean it's like more capable of, sound design sometimes. In order to make good sound design, you may need like an interface that's good as well. It's like how else would you make the sound,
Right.
So if you have all the parameters, but it's just a long list, then it becomes incredibly difficult to make any good sound.
I think
So
Electron
it's a
Solution
good.
is also really good too because I think you worked on some of that, but
The digitone, yeah.
the digitone. Sorry, the design concept of like trying to simplify not having 40,000 parameters, like that instrument does it really, really well.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole thing, I guess. And that's another thing I like with this setup that you've got going is like, because I like the envelopes on the digitone, the attack, decay, and where you have this like you can set the attack decay envelope to end at a certain amplitude for the operators, which is
Oh,
typically
that's
nice
neat.
for FM, and you can do that in M8 if you just add some level to the mod
Oh, right.
slot.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
so you can
So
build an attack.
if you add like, so if I set the mod's default, whoa, sorry, if I add the mod's default like somewhere around here, then that would be its bottom. Right. That makes sense.
It's really nice.
I didn't think about that.
It
was a weird compromise to try to also simplify the number of commands that you could have in the sequencer. It's like the macro style thing,
Yeah, I think it
macro
comes together
assignments.
really well. Yeah.
So I interrupted you a little bit ago to show the Dext problem, but do you remember what you were going to say? I'm sorry.
No, I think it was about the envelope
Okay.
trick. Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. Do we have any questions or anything to share? or anything for me to try with the FM synth for that matter while we're still on this page?
I have a demo. I found something that I could share music if we're interested or we're at a good point to listen to something. It's not a whole lot, but it's a track I started. Some more drum and bass stuff, just a couple loops. But I played it on a stream and it seemed like it was pretty cool. So I'd be happy to share that when we're ready to do some song demos.
That reminds me, Zabutom is here. Man, I wish you had an M8 because I love what your videos that you did. If anybody's seen those videos on the Digitone, they're really great too. Super neat.
Yeah,
But
he's probably doesn't know a mic, but they are great.
yeah,
It's really funny.
if you check out their YouTube channel, like there's some Digitone.
It's really
tracks.
funny because I asked him to make a demo for the Digitone, and this track, God, what's it called now? It loses me. It's this like most well-known track. Zeta Force from the Zeta Force. It became like a funny kind of a meme on the internet, and I was like, could you remake that for the Digitone? Just as like a funny thing for our demo. And
Are there
then it turns out he perfectly made a rendition of the song, which shouldn't. I mean, it's on the machine, but
right?
of course. So
I wonder if
I would also like him to have an M8.
I haven't actually listened to the built-in demos on the Digitone yet.
Oh, I think it's actually only on this.
Oh, okay.
It's not because it takes up like 1,000,000 patterns, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I got one like maybe some people remember on Discord that I got when I got one because I like look what I got. It was like right when I shipped the beta unit M8s when I had a little bit of free time. I'm like, I want to write music now, and I've been staring at the keyboard version just because I love. It reminds me of the Mono Machine. Was it SFX6 or whatever? The keyboard version of the Mono Machine.
Yep.
And I always wanted one of those back in the day, and I'm like, well, this is an FM kind of setup, only done even implemented better. And I don't have any FM synths in the studio, so I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and get that. But I still haven't had like, even though I did that, I still haven't had much time to really dive into it, just because of this whole project has taken over my life.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The M8 is the only thing I've made music on for the past year.
Honestly, I don't know how people can stand the headless version.
It's fine.
Yeah, I just say that just because like like the unit is like so much fun, but then like using my computer keyboard to try to edit things, like I get frustrated very quickly. Like
Yeah,
using my computer
actually,
keyboard. But maybe it's
yeah.
my default settings that I set for that thing are stupid. But
I
yeah.
don't know. Well, I mean, it is. I did try a hardware version actually at Electro. Had our ex-coworker had a machine, and yeah, it did feel a lot nicer. But yeah, one thing though that feels weird is like doing like the copy paste stuff. The keyboard. It seems like that probably works better on the hardware.
Yeah, it's all because for those that don't have LS or haven't used LSDJ or Game Boy Tracker, which I don't know if there's that many that haven't that are on here, but like the whole thing of using your two thumbs to do all the shortcuts like makes the workflow super super fast for some reason. At least for me, and I think for a lot of us, which
Yep.
was a lot of my initial push for wanting to make a MIDI tracker originally. That was in that same form factor. So the awkward button layout, etc., is basically mimicking that same thing. So you could use your thumbs to pretty much, make a track. And as soon as you go to a computer keyboard to try to do the same thing, it's no longer using your thumbs. You're like doing weird finger combinations to like do the same thing. I don't know. I always get lost on the computer keyboard. I guess that's why I get frustrated with it.
Yeah, I feel like a joypad of some sort is pretty crucial to uh, getting that workflow speed up.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I don't have one.
it,
Well, I do. I
yeah,
probably have one somewhere. I just haven't. That sounds like work to set that up.
yeah, exactly.
I've actually been rolling on just the keyboard. It's okay. But
Yeah. So if Mikey, you want to share a track, like I say, go
Sure.
for it.
Yeah, okay. Let me get that set up here.
If you want to just set the tempo to 10 times slower and then walk us through the whole song, that'd be
All
great.
right, let's do that. Let's
I'm
just
kidding.
let me get this. Well, let me reset this here. There we go. Okay. So this is just a little drum and bass thing. I made this, I think, the night before I was gonna play a set, and I was just a few minutes shy, and I was just like, all right, I can play with something for real quick. So I tried to make some FM bass for drum and bass stuff. So yes, it's drum and bass. So I'll just play some of the loops. Hopefully the volume's okay.
You could turn it up a bit if you want to. You have extra headroom.
There you go. How's that?
It's good.
Yeah, this song has extremely rough transitions, so. It's all pretty basic FM stuff.
Give me some Chicago house.
Oh.
Give me some Chicago house.
Thank you. Oops, sorry. I totally just messed with all my microphone settings. Yeah,
It's fine.
mic super hot. Let me fix that. There you go. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It has, I mean, these are all really basic, I think, FM sounds. Let's take a look real quick. We got this guy here.
Do you have any anger management issues?
Me?
Yeah.
No,
your
I'm
track
actually.
sounds very aggressive, and I'm just
I
wondering if.
I you know, honestly, I've
I'm
been.
just kidding. It sounds
No,
great.
no. I, I used, you know, it's actually like making aggressive music is something that is very new to me. So that mate's been really helpful in that kind of stuff. I've usually make like really soft melodic stuff.
Are you
So
trying to say M8's for aggressive music?
yeah, I'm trying to be edgy now. But yeah, I really like using bandpass and using like some sort of LFO that just kind of makes it squeak through the filter a little bit. So it's uh, you know, FM normally doesn't have that, but it gives you this what's the demo? Is it edit and start? that sound. It's cool.
I
And I
totally
think
forgot about that. I always forget about that shortcut,
yeah.
by the way.
And I yeah, and I think I specifically picked this key because I think it's this note. I just really like specifically how that note sounds.
Where it starts to growl a bunch.
Yeah, just yep.
Yeah.
And then we have like a donkey sound, like that kind of stuff.
That's called a
Same deal.
donkey sound?
Well, it's like a donk. Like
Oh,
a donk.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's
I get
donk. Sorry, it's donk-y or donk-esque.
I get it. I was
But then,
lost for a moment. I'm like, does it do a hee-haw kind of thing?
Yeah. And again, I'm cheating with FM using filter stuff, but as you can see, it has like a little envelope, and then by the time it finishes, the LFO is also pushing the cutoff in the lower range, so you get this.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, so you kind of that way you can have the two different shapes together. It's pretty cool.
The initial decay
Yeah.
thing, and then it swells.
Exactly. Yeah. Because like I originally I think I was gonna do that in a table, and I was like, wait, does this work? And lo and behold, it works just fine. And then same deal. I think this is just pitched up. It's the same. I think it's the exact same instrument. And then there's this growl one, which is the same as this one here, except I think the cutoff is different. I think I got rid of the LFO on that, and I think
Are the filters
we're
in
gonna do
M8 okay?
yeah, I like them.
Yeah, because they're like I was looking at that the other day when I was working on the audio quality stuff, and I was like, maybe I should look into different DSP for the filter. It's only because like it's super basic, but for me
Yeah.
it works. It's like practical. You know,
The only thing I could think of is like if we had different pull types, I guess, if that makes sense. So that way you'd
Right.
have like different kind of shelves that
yeah, it's just a two pole. There we go, two pole
Yeah.
filter. Yeah,
I think honestly I think that would be that could open up a whole bunch more textural or filtery
doing a four
kind
pole
of stuff.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I could probably look into that at some point.
Yeah.
It's literally a
that-
copy paste to do that. So
Yeah, I would say that would be the one thing I would love, or even if it was just like, you'd have LPF 12, LPF 24, etc. You
right.
know, you could that way, since there's not a lot of UI space left for it, you could just put it as a filter option. So
Yeah, there's room for expanding. Look at that. It only goes to number, what is that, 4?
Yeah.
So there, I could add 251 more filter types.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, but 250. Yeah.
And nothing else remarkable to show. The rest is all sample stuff. So, yeah, just all your standard. I mean, it's just a think break. Yeah, that's all I had. Again, it was just a little loop that I put together for the set just to fill some time. So,
yeah, I never even thought about like how much FM is used in drum and bass, like for baseline stuff, like that.
Real squeaky things.
Yeah, never really crossed my mind.
Yeah, I guess a lot of like more modern drum and bass stuff is definitely like either FM or wavetable stuff. Like Serums really kind of helps make that a possibility because it's got a really intuitive UI and a way to point modulation sources to all the different parameters, and it's very, very easy to look at and like understand real quick. So you get really cool wavetables and really cool modulation accessibility.
I'll ask Duda to port
Yes.
of
Serum port, please. There's
I'm
there's
joking,
a free,
by the way.
of course. There's actually a free VST called Vital that came out not too long ago. That's sort of kind of a Serum competitor.
That one seemed kind of weird, isn't it? Like it's got like a monthly pay license thing to it as well, doesn't it?
It does.
Feels like a
for,
trap to me.
For some additional, I think you can like it has like a a text to speech to wavetable generator, and that's what you're paying for, and some additional libraries. But all the other functionality is already built in, and you can use it with the free version. It's just more of like, if you like it, you can support us in the same way you probably support paying for Serum or whatever. I don't know. But it
It's
seems
also
really, really
open
good.
source.
Is it?
Yeah,
That's
all
really
the
cool.
code's on GitHub.
I
All
didn't
right.
know that.
Looks like we're putting Vital into M8 next.
No.
Sweet.
It's not how it works. There are limitations to this tiny processor.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for showing us. And thanks for entertaining my filter question.
Happy to entertain.
That like I look at a lot of like music DSP code and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, wow, they're making this really complicated like digital version of a diode or a ladder filter or a a SEM thing. I'm like, should I bother with these things or SEM would be
Nah,
nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like it's nice to have just digital sounding stuff. Honestly.
Honestly, I'd
Like
rather
if
have
you're
an EQ more than anything, I
yeah,
think.
I think
I think
EQ could
if
go
you're gonna
far.
go into the realm of like uh,
Modeling.
I mean, if you modeling analog, if you, like that needs to be very, very precise before it sounds good, you know. So it's like better to just have some digital and fairly accurate. That will be better in the long run,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I also worry about like just the well, A, the CPUs is always a concern. But B,
Yeah.
having too many options sometimes doesn't really help anything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like 4-pole would make perfect sense, but like
Yeah.
once you start adding something that's called like Moog or something, it's such a then people will pick that apart, and
Right.
then you have different tonalities to choose between.
This Moog ladder filter is not the same as an actual Moog. Please fix.
It doesn't at all sound like hooking up stuff into a
I want my money
realistic
back.
Moog.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I believe in the development approach of just good enough, and improve as you go along. Just because that's seemingly the only way to complete a project, and that actually might hold true with writing music as well. Like, just getting to the goals, without it being perfect at first, and then finessing it over time, might be a decent way to approach problems that are like that.
Yeah, I mean it's a reasonable approach. You'll find out what needs to be improved. It's pretty organic.
Yeah. Either through user requests or your own needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one cool thing that I'm going back on M8 again, like as if I'm promoting it. But like I think that's cool about the production units is the software will be pretty mature by the time those things ship. As far as the number of sheer versions we've gone through for the last like 4 or 5 months,
The
it's
development
it's
has been
significantly
crazy.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. I should try rolling back to 0.98 and seeing how fun it is to use the paste function in the instrument screen.
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody looks at the changelog, the very first like major change version was like I think it was 9.8 to 9.9 or 9.9 to 1.0, but it's just like this mammoth list of like all the usability fixes, and just even that update was like a significant chunk.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was great to have a lot of people on board that were used to LSDJ because they were able to like point out like the errors in my ways when I wrote it. So That's a pretty exciting time too, because at that point I worked on it for almost a year and nobody has ever used it. So it was like working away on something nonstop for that long and like getting like zero input from anybody is rewarding in some regard because you don't get feature requests. But in another way, it's like, I don't even know if this is good anymore. It's kind of like when you listen to a song that you're working on over and over and over and over again, you kind of completely lose perspective. So,
Well, you did a damn good job.
thank you. See, I took a compliment. The rule of taking a compliment is to say thank you and not say, yeah, but this is terrible because of X and Y.
Ah.
It's like that's the inherent nature to I think I maybe that I don't know if that's an artist thing or just a normal human thing, but like to just be like you know all the flaws that are there, you know, when somebody compliments you on something. You're like, yeah, but
Yeah.
there's all these issues here and there and there. But you're not supposed to bring those up when somebody gives you a compliment.
Yeah, that's my usual response. I was like, yeah, no, it was easy. Don't. I'm just stupid.
So I think it's pretty much this meetup. What do you all think? Should we call it?
Polo.
I have nothing left for you guys. You've learned everything that I could teach you.
All of your secrets are out there
All
now.
of my secrets. You are now all free little birds.
You can now retire. Yeah. Yeah, well, I would like to thank everybody for coming. I know that we didn't really have a plan for this one, as usual. It's seemingly now, but this one more than any other, I came into this with a blank slate. So, thanks everybody for joining, and thank you for dealing with the disorganized nature that this was. And I hope we do another one in probably 2 weeks. I think the 2-week schedule is probably a little bit better, especially right now, because I'm working my butt off trying to get this thing settled. So
Sounds good. So next 2 weeks from now is what? The 27th of March?
that's an interesting date. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's
Too much information.
yeah. So cool.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I don't know. We should really think of some topics, I think, in the next one. Or maybe I should go with that idea of like interviewing somebody. I think that might be fun.
That would be really fun.
Because there's definitely some people here that are in our Discord that I would love to ask them about their stuff and design philosophies and that kind of thing, as well as people I know externally. That might be fun. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your weekend if you have one. And I hope to see you all in 2 weeks.
Goodbye, friends. See you on the chats.
Marco.
Polo.
Polo.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. It was great.